Section C, and we'll read through the scenario again. A large takeaway pizza company, Progress Pizzas, has over 100 branches across the UK. Each branch prepares, bakes and delivers pizza orders to customers. Customers can use the PP mobile app to view the menu, place their order, receive delivery time updates. So that's how they use the app. Delivery drivers use cars and motorbikes to deliver the pizza to customers. PP collects data about each driver's driving by using sensors on the vehicles. Sensors, remember, automatically collect information, data, I should say, while they're going along. This data is shared with the motor insurance company and helps reduce insurance costs. Data from each branch is collected monthly and sent to head office. This data must include the number of orders, average cost of orders, average delivery time, and other statistical information. Notice there that data collected will then produce information. So looking at this, we're obviously going to be talking something about a mobile app and why it's good. We're going to be talking something about this sensor business somewhere along the way. And we're going to be doing something about how the manager of each shop is going to have to send that information off. Now we arrive at our first big question on the paper. This is an 8-mark question, and we're expected to discuss. Now, discussing, we need to write, I would say, any discuss question, you need to write at least 3 good paragraphs. We're discussing advantages. So we only stick to what's good about the mobile app. And stick to this. This is absolutely crucial. It's the advantages to the company, not the advantages to the customer. So what are the advantages to PP of using that mobile app to share information with customers? So remember, we know what the information they're sharing with them is, the menu and the delivery time. So we know that they're sharing that information with the customers. How is that going to help the company? So again, you want 3 good points. And in each of these, you want to be making a point, explaining it, giving an example of how that might happen, and then linking it back to say why it's good for PP. So let's think about some of the things that they can do. And if you just focus on the things that are on here. So let's look at the menu. Why is it a good idea for the company to have the menu? So you could say something like, they can update the menu anytime they want. So rather than using a paper menu, they can update the menu, which means the customers see it straight away, what's been changed. So they know the new offers and the new prices and the new deals that they've got, which makes customers happier. And more likely to order pizza. Again, bring it back to why it's good for the company. So you need to focus back at the end of your answer on why that's actually going to be good for the company, not for the customer. So think about that. Okay, now, updating the menu is good. Delivery times. So customers can see when their pizza is due. See when their pizza will arrive. Again, that's great for the customer. Why is that going to be good for the company? Increases customer satisfaction. So they are more likely to order again. So focus back at the end on why that's good for the company. Okay? And you can talk about also about the fact that this means that the information is available all the time. So information available all the time So customers can order from home without waiting in queues. And then obviously we say again, customer satisfaction. So this means you'll get more orders, which means the company will be more profitable. But the key thing here is 3 things. Try and get 3 things, and then always at the end go back to why it's good for the company. Now, how do we award those 8 marks? 3 bands. If you just make, say, a series of facts, so you can update the menu. Customers can see when their pizza are alive. Information is available all the time for customers. Customers don't have to go out the house to see the data. Any of those sort of things, then you're in the bottom band. You can have 1 or 2 marks depending on how many things you write. If you say what that means, so if you update the menus so the customers can see straight away what the new prices are. Customers can see where their pizza will arrive, which means they are much more happy with the service. Customers can order their pizza anytime, day or night. They don't have to go out. They can order it when they're on the train, whatever. As long as you say something about those things, then you're in the middle band, which means you can have between 3, 4 and 5 marks. The more things you write about, the more marks you get. You can only get into the top band, the 6 to 8 mark band, if you make sure that you are saying why that is relevant to the advantages to the company. If you refer it back to talking about why it's good for the company and how it's going to help the company, then you're in the top mark band and you can have 6 to 8 marks. So we've done that one. We've been there. Goodness me, we're getting a bit confused now. Let's take these out of the way. Okay, get rid of those. We don't get confused again. Now we're on to the next question. Describe one way that sensors could be used to collect data on the quality of each driver's driving. Describe. So we're talking about a process. How does it happen? So what sensors could be included? So if you talk about what the sensors do, that gives you a starting point. That's 1 mark. If you then talk about how it could be used, then you can have the 2nd mark. So we could talk about the fact that could detect the speed of the vehicle. There's 1 mark. To check if they are over the speed limit. There you are, 2 marks. So what is the sensor doing and why is that relevant to what we're talking about? That's one thing. Another thing we could do is we could use GPS to locate the vehicle. So say where the vehicle is, to check they are taking the correct route. What's the sensor doing? Why is that relevant to the quality of the driver's driving? 1 mark, 1 mark gives you 2 marks for the describe. Now you'll always be asked a question somewhere on here, probably more than once, about describing a specific piece of hardware or software. In this case, we've got both. So the data manager at head office is responsible for combining all the data received from each branch. There's 100 branches, remember, so that's a lot. This data is then shared with senior managers as a presentation at their monthly meeting. Identify one piece of hardware, a physical device that could be used to share the presentation with the senior managers. So what piece of computer hardware could we use? Well, the obvious one is we'd use a projector to display the presentation on a screen. If there's a limited number of senior managers, we might sit them round a laptop or tablet. to look at the screen and see what's being said. Those are the kinds of things we need to be talking about. Physical devices that will be used. You might even get away with talking about a personal computer, especially if you say the screen on the personal computer. But I would say if you're talking about giving a presentation, a projector is your best answer. Now we're going to start talking about software. Identify, again, name something. Identify one suitable type of software that could be used by the data manager to combine the monthly data for use in the presentation. Justify your response. Now we've got 5 marks here, so we'll have 1 mark for naming the type of software and then 4 marks to say why that's a good use of that software. What can that software do that will make it suitable for this task? So the first thing we're going to say is what type of software is it? Well, we could say a variety here, and you can get away with a large number of different types of software. You could talk about a spreadsheet. If you think about it, a spreadsheet we use for analysing data, totaling it up, using formulas, drawing graphs with it. Spreadsheet would be fine. A database, we could use a database. That again analyzes data, produces queries and reports from that. You can even use databases to produce graphs if you need to. Again, there's another kind of software we could use. And again, if we want to focus on the presentation that they're going to give, if you said presentation software, you could have a mark for that. That's if you want to talk about the software being used to show the presentation. That will combine the data together quite happily because you can make graphs on a presentation and so on. Now, you can get away with saying Excel instead of spreadsheet, or Access instead of database, PowerPoint instead of presentation. That's fine. You can name actual products, but if you can, try and remember to use those words. Now, justification. What you basically want to be doing here is saying 4 things that could do. So spreadsheets, you can be talking about formulas to make calculations. Remember it said in the blurb when we were looking at the scenario that we've got to include the number of orders, the average cost of orders, the average delivery times and statistical information. So formulas will give you the ability to do that. You can also do totals and subtotals in a spreadsheet. You can produce graphs, and you can separate your data out into separate worksheets. So you can have different sheets for different purposes. So if you can say what each one of those is and how they would relate to this specific task, then you can get your 4 marks. For a database, you could talk about queries to find specific information. You could talk about how you could turn those into reports, which will lay out the information in a way that helps the person to view it. You could talk about making it into graphs. And you could talk about exporting the data to other applications like presentations to be able to use it there. For presentation, when it comes to, remember, combining the monthly data, you could talk about graphs. You could talk about separate slides that would be used for each topic. You could talk about the use of templates to make the presentation look more attractive or to be more professional because it's been designed professionally. You could talk about the way in which it was actually shown. So you could say it could be turned into an automatic presentation so that it would work through at its own speed. Whatever you do here, make sure you identify an appropriate piece of software, and then when you've got 4 marks to work with here, try and describe 4 different things that you could do to use that particular piece of software.